Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. For those of you who are new here, my name is Aurea and I'm an indoor plant collector and a vegetable gardener in Chicago, Zone 6A, and I am here to teach you how to be a better friend to your plants. And I was about to go outside to do some maintenance work, some weeding, some pruning, and maybe a little harvesting, and I thought it was a perfect opportunity to take you guys along with me so you can see what I have growing.
So this is an overview of the entire growing space. There isn't a lot of room here, but we've managed to grow quite a bit of food. Okay, so these are the raised beds that I built sometime in March, and I'm sorry about the motorcycle. And this is where most of the food is being grown. I'm still trialing out the placement of these plants, so these are not their final homes next year, but basically I was just putting in plants wherever I saw an empty spot. So if it looks disorganized, it's because I'm trying to fit as many plants as possible in the amount of space that I have. So we'll start in this little corner right here. These two teepees here are yard-long beans. I have a red noodle bean and the green variety. Next to them are a lot of perillas. I think there's 3 perilla plants here. You'll see perilla throughout the yard because my mom and I enjoy having these with Korean barbecue, and I've tried pickling these and they were phenomenal. We have a lot of these even before we found out the health benefits of perilla. They have anti-inflammatory properties, anti-cancer, good for the autoimmune diseases, asthma, and all that stuff. So if you want to do your own research, I think you'd be more inclined to growing perilla the next time. Next to them are right here in between, you'll see some radishes, and I'm allowing them to flower because I wanted to collect seeds for next year. Next to the radishes are some scallop squash, also called patty pan squash. There's a little one right there if you can see it. And here we have a little nasturtium and sweet potatoes. This one, I think I just stuck an overwintered pepper in there, and this one is the Kangstar lemon starburst. Over here we have a few heads of cabbage bordering this bed, and in between the cabbages I just put some Swiss chard because I didn't want any wasted space. Swiss chard, some are doing better than others. Like this one is big and this one remains small. This empty spot used to be more radishes. I harvested those. I just left the ones in the corner there so to get seeds. And here, moving on, we have 6 strawberry plants. These are the mignonette strawberries. They are very small. They're very tiny, but they're so sweet. Next to it is a yellow crookneck squash. I see little flowers in there. I'm excited to get some of those. And like I said, these are more radishes that are starting to go to pods. So we'll be getting seeds from those soon enough. On the border here are more Swiss chard. I have a red one right here and a big yellow one here. On the back of this bed, we have some Asian greens. This is tatsoi, and I think this one's starting to bolt. These ones are probably still good. You see some insect pressure on them. That's because we try to be as organic as possible and we don't do any chemical pesticides. We have here another cabbage. We have some celery stalks here. I think we have 3 celeries next to the strawberries. And and another trellis. And in this trellis we have some cucumbers. There's a big one right there, I think. Yep. It's huge, it's beautiful. And we're gonna move on to the next raised bed, which is our greens. This was just all the kale, tatsoi, more tatsoi here. I have a curly kale and lacinato kale. We have tatsoi, more kale. This was the Lola Rosso lettuce that's going to seed. And back here we have more cucumbers and a couple vines of the red noodle beans, and it's being imprisoned by this cucamelon or the mouse melon. I don't see any fruits on the cucamelon yet, but I'm excited to try that. This is the first year I'm growing cucamelons. And moving on to here, we have the green yard long beans. These are, do you see how long that is? We have them all over the place. And this bed is the okra, eggplant, and cabbage bed. I have a few varieties of eggplants. This one right here, I'm not exactly sure on the names, but it produces this kind of eggplant. It's more plump, more round. And then here is the Thai eggplants. Right here, there's more eggplants everywhere. And here are the round eggplants. And I believe in the front I'm growing the green night eggplants. Those are a little bit behind. In the middle are some more cabbage heads. This one's growing nicely. This one's almost ready. And here we have some okra. I think these are the spineless varieties. The flowers are setting in, so I'm excited to be harvesting okra, especially now that the heat is setting in. We'll be having okras. Look at that one. I think we have one little okra there. And of course I have marigolds all over to try to, you know, discourage the pests from coming. And back here I have more cucumbers. Cucumbers everywhere. And these are Galapagos tomatoes. The fun thing about this Galapagos tomato is that it came from the main plant over there. I originally just intended for that back wall to be the tomatoes, but this one had an empty spot, so I decided to stick the suckers that I pruned off of the mother plant, stuck them in the soil, and they just thrived here. And I also have, this one's a trial. This was supposed to be a winged bean, but it never really took off, so that's such a shame. Oh, I think we have a few Galapagos tomatoes back here. I love how yellow they are, and they're so sweet. Wow. This bed is the non-spicy peppers, because my mom does not like any spice at all. It's not that she doesn't like it, she just can't tolerate spice. So here I have the non-spicy Korean gochu. We have manganji, korbaki, habanada, nada peños, and fushimi peppers. So that's all of that there, and some more marigolds. This last bed we have 2 pots of the Chicago hardy figs, which are the only varieties that can grow here in my climate. And like I said, we love perilla, so we have more perilla back here. But I grew some kale, some more lettuce, some Swiss chard in there. Here's a lettuce. I grew them back here in the under the canopy of the perilla because I was hoping the shade would keep them from bolting, but that didn't work. It was just too hot, so they bolted anyway. Here are some mizunas that I allowed to grow to seed so we can grow more in the fall. We have some cilantro down here also that's going into seed because they just don't like the heat. And back there, another cucumber. It's my favorite snack here in the summer. We have some bitter melons and another cucumber vine over here. At the end there is the Galapagos tomato, the one with the yellow fruits. And next to it are some cherry tomatoes. And we have some yellow pear tomatoes. We have some sweet 1 millions. And this one was a volunteer in the garden that we owned last year. The weird thing about this particular plant is, if you can see here, these are the fruits of the little fruiting branch. And at the end of this branch is a sucker. And that sucker is fruiting. So I don't know what's going on here, but that's the most bizarre thing I've ever seen in my whole life. Okay, so let's move on to the side of the yard. Okay, so we're moving on to this side of the fence. I just have some hanging planters of petunias over there, and here are some successful propagations of the tomatoes that I have in the back wall. I would just pick off suckers and stuck them on the ground, and they took off. I have them growing up my string trellis here. I tie string at the base of the plant, wind it around the plant a couple of times, and then I just train them to go up the string. So those are a few different tomatoes. I'm not exactly sure what kind because, again, those are just suckers that I propagated. These are some tomatoes that I got from our Chicago plant swap. This one is a white tomaso, and it's looking kind of weird. I'm not sure if this is how it's supposed to grow, but look at that. Isn't that so weird? And next to it is a Berkeley tie-dye. And we have all these pots of peppers. I'm probably gonna do a separate video on peppers alone. I'm sorry for the airplane. I live close to an airport, but like I was saying, I'm probably gonna do a separate video on all the peppers because we have hundreds of varieties here. Here we have these ones with the small leaves. These are icebox watermelons. And the one here with the big leaf, these are the yellow watermelons. I'm excited to get fruit from those. Okay, like I said, these are all peppers. Here's my potatoes that I just put in this little raised container. These are water spinach. And in here I have some petunias, a few more peppers, and this is a grapevine here that I'm trying to train up this bamboo stake. I'm gonna have it run around through the pergola. Back there we have a few more plants. This big boy right here is a pear tree, and the good thing about this pear is that it's grafted. I think one part is Asian pear and the other part is a Bartlett pear, so you don't need two plants to cross-pollinate each other. It just comes in one plant. And this right here are some jasmine flowers. We have a bay leaf right here. That one is called pandan. That's a citronella plant. That's a ghost pepper, and those are some blueberries. This one is way past its prime. It was so amazing when it was still cooler. This was my salad green tower. Here are more random plants. I have some succulents out here. We have some variegated bear paws, variegated jades, and this one was a gift from Capsaicin Cult. I forgot what she told me about them. But we have more succulents here, and hanging here are more nasturtiums. We have some spider plants, and as well as pothos. Up here is a strawberry pot. There's a few that are ready to be picked, so that's fun. And we have some petunias, some pansies up there, and this is my little herb tower. Catnip, we have some rosemary, we have mint, parsley, sage, mint, oregano, and thyme. Here's more peppers. Oh, man down. No, we lost a pepper right there. But we have more peppers there. More peppers up the steps. We have a wisteria plant here. We have more peppers and some decorative plants here. These are more peppers. And on the side of the house are these are ranunculus. I failed them. These are some nasturtiums that weren't doing well on the balcony, and I brought them here and they're trying to come back to life. We have more peppers lining the side of the house here. We have some Blue Lake bush beans. I'm starting to see some pods on here. And this one is some mustard greens and more tatsoi. I'm gonna have to put some neem oil here because I see some pest damage. And we'll move on to the balcony, which is the last part of the garden. Okay, so the last part is the balcony, and we'll start with this planter right here. We have some sweet basil, Italian basil, and right behind it is a sad little cabbage. I kind of just stuck it there because there was an empty space that was unused, and I don't like wasting space, so I stuck it there. The next planter is some Thai basil, and in this planter I have this weird looking pepper. This one is a mutant candlelight. It has a lot of flowers, but I don't see any pods yet, so we'll leave it there and, you know, give it some space. In this little pot here is Shelly. Obviously, she is my bonsai Carolina Reaper, and I think this is the year I'm gonna allow her to flower. So, I mean, flower and then produce fruit. And I see flowers there. We're gonna give her a little shake to encourage those fruits to develop. Okay, so these two pots are dragon fruits. There's 7 total varieties, but the labeling on them has faded off, so we'll wait until they set fruit until we figure out what kind they are. This last planter here are more Blue Lake bush beans, but these have been sunburnt because this area gets full sun throughout the day. It's still trying to put out some beans, so that's a good thing. Back here is our Philippine lemon, also called calamansi. There's a perilla plant right there, and right next to it is I don't think you can see it, but there's a jasmine plant in there too, and that is Philippine oregano. And down here we have some orange master pomegranate, a random pepper seedling. We have more tomatoes here. This is a pink tiger tomato, and this one is a sunrise bumblebee tomato. And here's some clematis. I still don't know where they're gonna go, so they're gonna hang out here for the meantime. And I think that's pretty much it. If you guys have questions, just leave it in the comments below. And thank you for hanging out with me, and I will follow up with a more detailed video on all the potted pepper plants that we have here. Bro, why are you trying to die? And we all say thank you for watching and have a good day. Bye.